Joe Lusardi, President and CEO of Curaleaf. Joe, thanks so much for joining us today. I want to talk to you about what you just discussed on stage, which is just the sheer size of your company and the size of your footprint, really.
Yeah.
What role does that play, and how did you get your footprint so big ahead of everyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I've been at this since 2010. I was responsible for opening the first medical marijuana facility on the East Coast in Maine. And in 2016, I joined a company called Paleotech with the goal of creating the largest national cannabis company. And so we've had our head down for the last 3 years building the biggest footprint in the country. We have 11 states operational right now. Our biggest states are Florida, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts on the East Coast. We're also in California, Arizona, Oregon, and Nevada on the West Coast. And we built this company around one cohesive brand, Curaleaf. And we think that we're going to create a national brand of cannabis this year with the launching of our CBD in 47 states as well.
So about that one brand, how important is branding for you?
Critically important. I mean, I think to understand cannabis, you have to know that the way we look at the cannabis value chain is you have cannabis, the growing of cannabis, which we believe will be commoditized over time, and I think any rational person will likely come to that conclusion as well. The retail outlets are important because we believe that cannabis will be sold in specialty retail shops for the foreseeable future, but ultimately the value is in the brands and it's in the consumer experience, and that's been proven not just in cannabis but every other CPG industry in the world. And so we are very focused on having a common brand of products, Curaleaf. We have over 200 SKUs of Curaleaf products, and now with the launch of CBD, we have a 15 SKU national product offering of hemp.
You said you believe that there's going to be a bit of a sector rotation out of Canada into the U.S. Cannabis markets. Why do you believe that?
I do, because the U.S. market is the biggest in the world, and it's a $50 billion addressable market. And if you look at the market caps of the U.S. Operators compared to the Canadian peers, we are significantly undervalued, and we're trading at a massive discount given the size of our operations. And I also think, more importantly, over time, investors will recognize that U.S. cannabis companies are vertical. We control our entire supply chain. So not only do we get to decide what we grow and what products we make, but how we price it. We don't sell our products to the government. And so I think that's a big advantage that investors will come to recognize.
So even though Canada has had, it's federally illegal there, they've had the first mover advantage, in spite of all that, you still believe that there's going to be, the U.S. just has a lot more firepower. The size of the market is just too big.
It's just too big. And frankly, I think that, because, look, I'm not going to diminish the fact that in Canada it's federally legal. And what that means is that more institutional money can invest in those companies because they don't have prime broker issues, they don't have custodial issues, et cetera. But that's going to change, and I think that will change as more and more states in the U.S. adopt adult use programs, and this becomes a $20, $30 billion industry. It's not a sustainable position, and I think that more institutional money will flow into the U.S. and into the companies that are delivering outsized financial returns.
Does being publicly traded add any unique challenges, considering the volatility of the market?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our shareholders expect to make money, and so we're very focused on creating shareholder value. I like to tell people it's like having a whole second job. I used to have a job where I ran a company, and now I do that plus this. But I'm up for the challenge, and I think it's true that we've made our investors money all along the way, and we intend to do that by deploying $250 million of their capital into the markets this year and creating a lot of shareholder value. So I'm very optimistic about our projections for 2019 and the company we've built, and so I think shareholders of Curaleaf will go on a good ride with us.
And what's the biggest objective for 2019?
Continue to press our advantage in the states where we have operations. So we're investing $150 million into our own companies in 2019, and we're also putting $250 million to work in M&A. So it's all about just getting a bigger footprint, getting the brand out there, making more brand impressions, touching more consumers. In addition, as I said, to the regulated cannabis market, we're going to be selling CBD in 47 states. So I'm very excited and optimistic about the challenge.
All right, Joe, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right.